Hi everyone. So this is going to be the review for the third round, my third round game of the Dutch Open, which was played a little bit over a week ago now. My videos on rounds 1 and 2 are already out, and those were actually wins against Rob van Zijst, 7-dan, and Cornel Bourzo, 6-dan. So that was the first day of the tournament, that was day 1. And on day 2, there were only 3 players in the top group with 2 wins. One of them was Jonas Veltika, 6-dan, another one Lukas Potpera, 7-dan, and they played each other. And I got paired down against Tel Michiel. I'm not sure which, I might be mispronouncing it. Who's a Dutch player, a local player in the sense it is the Dutch Open, and I was sort of interested in the Jonas Veltika game versus Lukas Potpera game because I would play with the winner if I won this game. But of course I mostly had to focus on my own game. I actually don't know much about him, uh, except I met him before the round started and we talked, of course. But I haven't really heard of him go-wise before, but his rating is actually pretty high. He has 6-dan rating, and he gained rating at the tournament. He beat some strong players later in the tournament, and he had a decent performance, it seems. So, and I thought he played quite well, actually, in this game, though certain key mistakes eventually turned the game in my favor. A bit of a spoiler alert, I suppose. Um, so also, if you guys want to see results for the tournament or a nice photo album, I'll mention it again. I'll have links in the description in all of my videos. But okay, let's get into the game. So this game, I was trying to play quickly again, 1 hour time settings, and not always do I do this, but in this particular game, my opponent let me. Like a lot of my opponents, I think they know what my style is, so they don't let me do this. But my opponent maybe wasn't so experienced, and he let me play for moyo, and I got to play like 2 of my favorite josekis. Top left and top right are sort of josekis I like, and I like these influential structures where I just have stones. I have really high stones. I mean J6. AI doesn't think of J6, it thinks of like normal moves, but this is how I play, and I enjoy this type of structure. And I got to blitz these moves out and play quickly and confidently because I like this type of structure and I enjoy it. I also mentioned this was board 1. I got up to board 1. I was on board 2 for rounds 1 and 2. So that was nice because someone else was recording the game, so I didn't have to do it afterwards. And also, like my people like my teachers, my family could watch online and roast me, which they had fun doing. Also some support. Yeah. So I think okay, this is the first really interesting moment in the game. Up until now, I took basically no time, and he played L6, which I thought was an interesting move because, at least as far as Black's concerned, because I saw this combination where I thought White has a shape problem. So White, obviously, the normal shape is this, but you can't do that because the stone looks silly. So I thought White has to play here, which leaves some different shape. No, not there. Leaves some different shape weaknesses in the form of this cutting point and this hane. So I thought that White made a shape inaccuracy, and I was debating whether I activate it now or later. And since I didn't really see anything else of value to do on the board, I activated it immediately. He peeped, and then answered, and we went into this sequence. And I was sort of happy about this because I had a hard time seeing how A is going to be a useful stone, whereas Black is fine getting this type of structure anyway because it works with the rest of the board, and White's position is rather low. So I was happy with this. It's not terrible for White, but I was happy with it. And here, I played this too quickly, I think. I played a slightly careless move. I played double hane. And double hane is a move that, I mean, when I played it, I knew that it's a very risky move because it leaves cutting points at A and B. These stones do have a liberty problem. Shape-wise, undoubtedly the right thing to do is M6. Undoubtedly. Because when White cuts, now you're not beholden to having to play N6, which is what, by playing N6 first, you're sort of promising this exchange and further limiting the liberties of these guys. So I figured, well, it should have been better to play this movement. That way these stones are under much less pressure. If White wants to push, that's okay. I'm building in the center. The right side can sort of make territory independently. But the double hane looked nice because I'm sort of trying to connect these 2 sides of the board and make a big moyo, and it's harder for White to break through. And that's true. It's harder for White to break through, but nevertheless, the shape mistakes, the shape is just a little bit too too volatile here, and he played what I thought was a good move. He played g5, which I didn't see. And of course, when your shape is this bad, you can sort of expect you can expect your opponent to find something. Even like you can't look through all the moves because the shape is that bad, and there are probably multiple moves that are good here. But his move I thought was particularly good, and the idea is that if I do something obvious like cutting, then white's already threatening to kill me this way, and if I protect against that somehow or another, like let's say I connect here, then my shape is still really bad, so I might have to spend extra moves, and then also this cut is really brutal. So in such a variation, even if I try to live, like somehow, let's say I try and survive by ko, which is hard. It's really hard, because this is sort of dead, but okay, let's say I try to make some sort of ko shape. White's shape in the center is still really strong because stuff like this, and then my own stones have a liberty problem, and I have to protect the cutting point at D. So I'm getting cut, and my shape is really bad. So I can't really invest a move to play G4, playing dame to cut because my shape is too bad. And so I had to find a way to basically fix this shape. And what I came up with was this, which is ugly. But I thought it sort of worked. And my plan was that if white tries to Atari, or you know, cut and Atari, I can push through this way. No, not that way. And there's some weaknesses over here on the lower side that I can use. So push it A. White playing here would run into a double Atari. White not playing here would run into losing these stones. So I thought that this specific stone I can get here is useful to me, and therefore I expect that I can hold the shape. White will play H4. I sort of expected that. And that gives me enough time to patch up my shape. And that's what I expected to happen. And white didn't do that, actually. White went for G7, which I thought I sort of prevented. And G7's okay, but I thought that potentially a more like severe line of play would have been H4. And after H4, the thing is that black has a difficult decision. So if black protects the shape in such a way, trying to prevent white A and white making territory on the lower side, you're leaving a big shape problem in the center. So gets to play like here, and then even stuff that looks dumb, like this looks like a dumb move, but promise me that there's a point to the move is here. And let's say that black defends, then the point of the move becomes obvious. Black sort of gets getad. Oh wait, actually in this particular case you don't get getad, so never mind. You have this stuff. Oh wait, you don't have this stuff. White. Okay, so anyway, the point is that black shape is really thin. So white might have combos like this. And even if he doesn't, it's easy for white to create a living group in the center this way, because black shape is just too weak. Let's say you defend somehow, then you have to deal with this stuff where white creates a very, like, solid group that's just alive in the center. Like, I mean, this is ridiculous for black, just too inefficient. And actually, black's weaker. So this type of shape problem has to be fixed, and I was even unsure if I want to play here. So what I was thinking was I might just fix this way, allow white to cut me here, and then trust, oh, I have some Sansan stuff, I can complete my shape, and then I have a really big moyo structure. And this is, like, decent. And AI agrees it's decent, but it thinks white's better, because white, it throws a stone here and says white lives in the center, basically. Which is, I think, hard to do for humans, and this would be playable for black. But it is a big sacrifice to make, so I was unsure if I want to actually invest in the center so much as to lose the entire lower side, but I was considering, because either one of the A and B fixes leaves a crippling weakness at C. But instead, he gave me what I thought was an easier choice by cutting. And I thought that this cut is fairly advantageous to me, because once I cut, my decision-making process is easier. And the reason it's easier is that now I get to just cut at N4. I could have played M2 also, and that fixes my shape basically forever. So if he chooses to play M2, preventing me from Atarying and capturing the stones on the lower side, then I intended to play E6. he has to save his stone somehow. I thought he might do so by playing like this. And then I will quite simply take in the center. Well, not in the center at n5, connecting all my stones. And then again, we get a position where white can like get something on the lower side. But now my sacrifice of the lower side is much, much, much more potent if we think about such a variation. Because this Ponuki is there, whereas before it wasn't a Ponuki, right? Black shape was much less solid. And like white has this stone, which is basically dead inside. And white has this group, which has a liberty problem. So black has a lot of sente moves. This position is great for black, simply because, whereas in the other variation we looked at, let's see if I can find it somewhere. Yeah, whereas in the other variation, white's completely connected and white has no issues. In this variation, white has a serious liberty problem, so and black also has a Ponuki. So this is just great for black. And then that's why I sort of understand what white did. White played 05. But this lets me capture the 5 stones on the lower side. Now, of course, capturing the 5 stones on the lower side does mean that he gets to capture my stone and Ponuki in the center. And what ended up happening is that white creates a strong group in the center. This group is already fairly strong, and I can't really do anything to attack it. But even though I have no center anymore, I've traded it. And this is something a lot of people have a problem with. When people build moyo, they're not happy trading it. You know, they're like, oh, my moyo. But in this case, I mean, black captured 5 stones, so black's pretty happy. Like, all of black's stones are connected. You know, black got territory, reduced white's territory. And actually, this influence is still useful. It's just not useful in the way it was useful before. These groups are still strong. These groups will still get me profit throughout the game. So I thought that this was a favorable result, and I think it mostly stemmed off of, even though this was a good move from white, later white erred by not connecting at the right timing. So here I think white's best move was to connect, and this gives black a difficult decision. By cutting first, white's shape sort of became really inefficient, and that came back to bite him really quickly. And I felt I have a lead here. I think another mistake that white made a little bit later in the game was K10. So I thought it was important for white to live with Q2. Because this group, it sort of wants ice space more than the group in the center. If I hane, white can just play here. I mean, this group is really hard to attack for black. Actually, I guess an even better move might be here. No, I would jump. I would jump. And then if black really wants to take the ice space, that's technically possible. But it's hard for white to kill this group because for black to kill this group because there's a cutting point at A, the group can run, there's a cutting point at C. I'm not killing this. Conversely, the group on the lower side got into real trouble in the game. I played P2, which makes lots and lots of territory, and white has to get out playing dame. So this is the point in the game where I just felt comfortable. White spent another move to make sure he's alive, and then we can see how many moves are just devoted to playing dame, so I was very happy to get A and B in exchange. And this is sort of what I mean by that the influence is still useful. All of my influential stones over here, that affects white's group. And after this, I felt I was ahead. I tried to play quickly on the clock, etc. I think both of us took a while to get into Byoyomi. The rest of the game was just, I fixed the cutting point at D5, and I tried to keep a little bit of pressure on white's group, because earlier in the game I basically asked, well, do you want to just make a strong group, or do you want to like fight for the shape? But then I actually took the ice space of the group and made it run, which is fine for white. White's group is not in trouble. But at this point in the game I was quite confident because neither one of white's groups really did anything except play dame. And in a sense, this is the effect of influence. Both my influence at C and D, it's pressuring the white groups into playing dame, even though it's not building anything. And in this position, I was fairly confident that I'm just ahead now. And in the game, I played relatively normal moves. Eventually, white just lived in the center, making an extra eye here. White's alive with both groups, and so I started playing the end game. S13. White played E2, which is big, but I don't think it's that big. I think E2 is a little bit slow. And I just played endgame. I mean, I made points on the left side. I played N2 in O2 in reverse sente, preventing white here. and eventually I was just ahead. And I believe I won by 8 points in this particular game. So I think the important thing about this game is just, I think my main mistake of the game was N6, which was really bad shape-wise and could have led to white getting a slightly better position where white could have gotten a huge amount of compensation on the lower side. And my moyo is incomplete because there's still shape problems at A. At B, there's a hole. It's not too big of a hole because black has a good shape, but sorry, well, white has a bad shape and consequently black shape is okay. But white had big profit on the lower side and can invade the center. In the game, white's shape was just not too good. So I like getting to trade for the 5 stones, which is very comfortable for black. And even though I didn't have a moyo per se, I still had strength on the board, which could be used to pressure his groups throughout the game. And this was exacerbated probably by white's choice, well, white's neglect of playing Q2. And after that, I generally felt I had control of the game. I was never in serious time trouble. So this was a relatively clean win. I mean, I felt like I had control of the game. White's groups were weaker for the most part, and I never felt seriously under pressure. So, you know, relatively good win. On the other hand, you know, I'm happy to get a win against Tel in such a way because he performed quite well this tournament. He's clearly a strong player. And, I mean, he found a very nice move here where I didn't quite know what to do, and I think I would have gotten a worse position. I was just lucky he didn't quite find the right follow-up after that. So, yeah. The game itself, at this point, I believe it was 8 points. Really forget. Was it 8 points? 7 points. Okay, 7.5. And yeah, that's about it for this game. A bit of a shorter one because I thought black had enough of a lead in the middle game after capturing the 5 stones and getting A that the game is there's not that much going on in the game that's super interesting to cover, so a bit of a shorter review. But the lower side was sort of intense because I was playing quickly and trying to like not fall behind on time. And then white found some nice shape points and asked my shape some good questions, and I was a little bit unsure of what I was doing. But you know, after that, the game was sort of clean, so I'm not unhappy with this game. Now on the tournament situation, Jonas Veltik actually beat Lukas Podbera. And then that meant that we were both 3-0 and we were to play in the 4th round. And that's what the next video will be about. It might all be uploaded jointly with the 3rd round. So, you know, make sure to watch that video and other reviews I'm going to make or have made on this event, on my games at this event. And make sure to like the video if you liked it. If you have questions, you can comment or contact me on Discord or elsewhere. And, you know, subscribe if you want to see more videos. And yeah, thank you very much for watching till the end. And see you next time.